everyone. I'm Joseph Roberson, and this is King Talk. We welcome you to our unapologetic and transparent discussion on any and all issues related to youth sports. If there's something you'd like to hear discussed, feel free to drop us a line, shoot us a DM. Let us know on IG at King Talk Podcast. That's King Talk Podcast, one word, on IG. You can also find us on Facebook at King Talk Podcast and on iHeartRadio and Spotify as well. All right, today, people, hey, I gotta look in there, right? Today, I'm blessed with the presence of someone I consider a literal genius, right? As it relates to your participation, I'll let you detail some of that, right? In youth athletics, youth sports, and a very unique perspective. I want everyone to welcome Fidel Burns. I'm sorry, we got to do our own clapping because we don't have an applause machine, right? Low budget, we doing it, all right? And also, we have to welcome my young king, John Burns. Welcome, John Burns. Hey, but watch this, though. You so humble about your identity, you better tell them, my man. You better speak up and tell them you're going to know me now or you're going to know me later, but you're going to know who I am. You got what I'm saying? I mean, at least that would be my attitude if I was as fresh as you, you know? Hey, so Fidel, one of the reasons... first of all, thank you. I appreciate you coming to participate with me. It means a lot to me, both based on the insights you can share with people and your wisdom, and also based on my relationship with you and me valuing you and all the feedback you've given me, even as it relates to my own child over the years. So, I appreciate you dearly. So watch this. Some people don't celebrate it. I get it. At the same time, just acknowledging today is Halloween. So watch this. So we go with this cool format for Halloween, right? We're going to tell some stories.
Yes, sir.
They ain't got to be horror stories, right? But I'm sure as it relates to youth athletics, you've seen some horror stories, right? Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, I always, jokes aside, I become fascinated with your stories, both as it relates to the young people themselves, young student athletes, as well as their parents. Jokes aside, some of them have been horror stories in terms of people's lack of understanding of what this journey is really about, and how to push their student athletes in a way that allows them to excel, but that doesn't burn them out, whether we're talking about physically or emotionally, right, psychologically. So that's kind of what I wanted to, I don't even need to direct the discussion. I just wanted to know, we have so much dialogue, some of the stories you shared with me over time. I guess if we could start it out, watch this. One day you told me, we were talking about your track team. Oh, everyone, I'm sorry. Fidel coaches with, how do I say it appropriately? The West Valley Eagles track club or youth track and field club?
Yes, youth track and field club.
Okay, got that. All right, so, and in addition, is it okay for me to shout out any other roles you fulfill in the community? Or with the institutions, or you want to keep it low key?
Feel free.
Okay, so you're also part of the coaching staff at St. Francis School as well? Okay.
Coach the relays and the sprints.
There you go, the relays and the sprints. Okay, and sometimes, the only reason I share that with people too, sometimes so they understand the credibility behind what we're saying. How long have you been coaching with West Valley?
West Valley, I'm going on, I think, my 16th year.
Wow. So you done raised generations at this now.
Yes.
Okay.
Blessed to have athletes that come back and share their, whether it's high school, college experience with me.
Right.
And how things are different, whether it be better or worse, and we move forward in life.
Wow. When you say better or worse, what you mean?
Okay, first of all, when you're coaching youth athletes, and I separate it because the high school athlete is a different mindset than the youth athlete.
Okay.
And the youth athlete, our goal is to have this child prepared to participate at the high school level, if not go further.
Gotcha.
Most of the athletes that leave our program, by the time that they get to the high school, coaches are happy with them knowing a lot of things that you don't have to coach. With me coaching on the high school level, sometimes I have to explain a lot of things to my 16-year-old that my 9 and 10-year-old already knew at 9 and 10.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big, big learning curve, and I'm sure that the kids appreciate it when they get there.
Gotcha.
So, and a lot of times they can help the coaches out
Right.
with their friends.
Right.
The peers relate to peers a lot better than they relate to a coach.
Okay. Hey, so what I wanted to start with, if it's okay, is one day you were telling me, and this was years ago, right? And I bring it up quite often because it fascinated me. Because a lot of times parents think they know sports. So I don't care what sport it is. Well, you know, my son or daughter, they run this fast. And, you know, my son or daughter can shoot. They're the best shooter on the team. And my son or daughter's the best dribbler. They got the best ball handles, right? Now, your kid has no IQ for the sport, but you did teach them how to dribble the ball. Now, they often dribble away from the rim through their legs and backwards, but and, you know, and in one sense I'm being facetious, I'm joking, but it just blew my mind because I realized parents oftentimes don't have an IQ for the sport. And sometimes we have to humble ourselves because they'll be sitting there trying to determine the value of their child and why doesn't the coach use them this way. And you told me the story that I thought was so deep about one of your, I think, 4x100 teams, like a relay team. And you were telling me, as you were telling the story and you were telling me about your anchor, I just kind of interrupted and was like, okay, and your anchor was the fastest person. You was like, no. And then so automatically I'm questioning you like, hold on, how would not your anchor be this person, right? And when you explained to me the thought process, I've always marveled over it. Do you recall the story well enough to tell it where you could share that with everyone?
Yeah. I remember that group. I've had a lot of different groups, and your groups are going to be mainly your 4 fastest kids.
Okay.
Right? And those kids have physical abilities that you have to take for granted. Some are faster learners.
Okay. Or that you ain't trying to take for granted, or you
Yeah.
do take for, what do you mean?
Some things you do take for granted, some things you don't.
Okay.
But what I say is that this kid may have a physical ability, but if he's not smart enough to hand that baton, you might have to grab number 5.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
because
Wow.
the team will go faster. One year in particular, I had to remove my second fastest because I felt like he wasn't given enough, and I put in the 5th guy, and we went something like 2 seconds faster than we ever did in the season.
Oh, wow.
So just being able to determine that. But the year that you're talking about, I remember, the anchor is that person that's not going to lose. That's gonna fight for every inch, every hair. He's going to get everything, and no matter what, you know, when he gets the baton, you're safe.
Right. Okay.
Whether it's and I've had one kid that if you gave him the lead, he wasn't giving it up, and I've had another kid that if he was behind, he was going to get whoever it was in front of him.
Wow.
Yes.
So even technically, if we say based on personal records or time, this person was faster, but you just understood it's not always about that. There's a mentality, and this person has a certain, oftentimes in sports we say this person got dog in them, where this person is about to go get who's ever in front of them.
Yeah, okay, listen, I had an athlete that one year we were the 2nd fastest team in Southern California. And the fastest team had the absolute fastest kid. And I had a kid that was really fast, but everybody fears number 1. And if you fear number 1, you lose before the race starts.
Okay. That's deep.
So in practice, I taught them not to fear number 1. I said, listen, when we're doing this drill, I want you to pretend that the number 1 guy is receiving the baton at the same time as you. What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Are you going to just assume that they won and we took 2nd? Or are you going to fight till we get to the end?
Right.
And listen to me. This athlete had never beaten that kid in his life, probably still to this day.
Okay.
So I created the environment in practice, and the athlete said, Coach, you got me nervous. Creating that environment in practice.
Okay.
That kid was 50, 60 miles away.
Right.
But creating that environment in practice took his mind to a place where like, whoa, this could really happen.
Yeah.
And truth be told, years later, it did happen. They took the baton at the same exact time. He had never beaten this kid in his life. Our team won by 1/100th of a second.
Wow. And 1/100th of a second is dang near we neck and neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this kid's faster than you. If you're neck and neck,
Yeah.
he should pull away from you.
Right.
But the environment that we created, the competitive environment that we created in practice,
right.
prepared him for there. And a lot of that, to me, is more mental than it is physical.
Right.
Physically, you got all the tools, or you're not even going that far. We were battling the best teams in Southern California, which is, to me, the best state in America, racing these children, a lot of these teams that leave Southern California are guaranteed to be in the top 3 in the country every year.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Is Florida up there too? For some reason, it's always been the thing in Florida. Florida pretty fast too?
Yeah, very.
Okay. You say yeah too, John? John shaking his head like, yeah. Okay.
We don't fear Florida, but they usually...
But respect.
We allow them to stand next to us on the podium.
Okay, oh, that's deep. That's deep. I like that, though. I like that. Hey, you know what I appreciate about what you just said, too, is it's not about fear. It's just respect. When I say that, I just mean this. No matter who's on the field of competition against you, there's a respect for your opponent and respect for the game.
Yes.
So one thing I always try to explain to different kids I coach is this. I don't care if you perceive the person across from you to be a lesser athlete than you. Respect this moment of competition, that you are in competition with yourself to be your best. And so you have to dominate them at a certain level. Now you can do it with class, and you can do it with, with dignity, right? And then at the same time, because sometimes I see what people will perceive this person is not a worthy opponent. And so therefore you don't do your best. But what you did was you just gave them hope and you gave them light.
Yeah.
And so now you made them believe in themselves because you weren't competing at the level. And people don't realize one thing about humanity. One of the most powerful things we possess is hope. And we're not talking about sports, we're talking about life in general. So when you want to really dominate someone, you have to remove all hope. So, some of the examples I give, I don't even know if I feel comfortable saying them, but I don't care who I compete with. So let me use this example because I feel like I don't care if it was an infant in a stroller, right? Hey, look, the way you go see me play D is you're going to be like, Joe tripping. Well, you don't play, right? And then when the game is over, that's when I'll be like, hey, I'm sorry. That wasn't necessary, right? But for the moment we're competing, I respect this game, whatever game or whatever field of competition I'm in, enough that I am going to do my best. And so it's not really about fear whether and even if you're the best. If you're the best, then, I just respect the game enough. I'm about to give you my best. And I'm not going to concede victory just off from the standpoint of that's not what you came for.
Yeah.
I'm about to leave, and because it's the same thing in, physical confrontations when I was young in the streets. Like, I might lose, but you ain't going to want to fight me again. You ain't going to want to keep fighting me because you're going to know, this dude, I had to kill him, So, that's how I approach competition, but, it is what it is. So I was fascinated with that story because I just perceived, I never really understood the psychology of something that, where you mentioned this person ran my anchor because no matter how fast the other person was, there was a spirit within this individual where they were going to never let someone come from behind and beat them. Ever. And I don't think that's how parents and outside observers gauge sports. Well, it should be this person because of this, and this person should be your guard because they had the best handles, but they don't really have an understanding of how to get their teammates involved. Or this should be your, and people just don't get the bigger context, My thoughts.
No, I'm fully in agreement with that. Fully in agreement.
So how do you, what's some of the most rewarding times you've had as a coach? To do it for 16 years.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm going to share something real selfish. I'm not going to be coaching that long. Right? Right? Now, I don't know. Who knows? My father had been coaching so long. He coached my little brother all the way through college and until my brother went, to play professionally. And then he got another set of kids and coached them all the way through college. And he went back and got, I think, what may be his last set of kids, but I think they're started over again and they maybe 9 or 10 youth. Me, I can be honest with people, I did it more in relationship to my son. Yeah. And as I look at different coaches, I feel like everyone has a reason they choose to participate in coaching. That being said, I find it rewarding based on the acknowledgement of young people that you participated in their life and trying to pass information along. And then at the same time, there's a part of me that when it's done, I'll be glad to selfishly spend my time, relax, enjoy. Why have you stayed in this for 16 years?
It's first of all, I enjoy it, and I believe life is to be enjoyed. Doing the things that you enjoy, whatever that is. And it doesn't feel like work when you love doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
Being in it for that long, of course, I started too with my oldest son.
Right.
Now I'm coaching my younger son, and that has a lot to do with it too. But I don't coach the sport to coach them.
Okay.
When they're at the age of the division that I coach them.
Okay.
And when it's time for them to move on, I'll move on. I have them 24 hours a day.
Right.
So if they're missing something, I can either say, hey, son, when you did this, you could have did this a little better. Or, I can say little things,
Right.
Sometimes a little harsher than others.
Okay.
But the goal is to keep it fun.
Yeah.
Anything you do, if you keep it fun, the kids love to do it. And as long as the kids enjoy me being out there, I would love to continue to coach.
Right.
But, that's the...
So you don't just coach your son,
No.
matter what level they're on. You coach a certain group or a certain age range, and then once they get in that age range, you coach them. And once they're before or after that, you let them move forward.
Yes.
Okay, watch this. I got to put you on the spot, John. This is real life player now. Watch this. Feel free to say what you want to say. At the same time, you know what's so crazy about when people say that? People used to say that to me when I was a kid. They're like, no, say what's really on your mind. I was like, man, you ain't going to be at home with me when I'm getting knocked out. What are you talking about? Say what I want to say. Hey, when people say that, right? Hey, that being said, your apostle's saying it has to be fun. Is it fun for you?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be real simple. It's like, yes. Yes. What's fun about it? What do you like?
I like to win, first off.
Okay, that's real
And
life.
second, I'm spending time with my father, my friends,
Okay.
just being happy.
You like the life of an athlete?
Yeah.
Hey, you like that picture you put up on IG with your muscles showing, homeboy flash, and that's what you like, huh? I ain't stupid, homeboy. I know what you like. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do your dad be tripping?
No.
Oh, see, I don't even believe you no more. I don't believe you no more, John. So your dad don't ever be tripping. Hey, watch this. I coach. I know I be tripping with my son.
I don't think he be tripping. I think he keeps it 100. Like,
Oh,
if
wow.
I do bad in a race, he's going to tell me. He's
Okay.
going to tell me what I did wrong. He's going to tell me how I can improve on it. So
Right.
I don't really count it as tripping.
Okay. Oh, I respect that. Hey, because you would rather that and the ability to compete at a high level than your dad being nice to you, telling you whatever you want to hear, but where you're not prepared to compete. Hey, do you feel fear? Do you ever feel fear out there?
No.
You really don't? Do you feel nervous? Don't nervous? Okay,
Every
okay.
race.
And there's a difference between the two?
To me, yes.
I got you. Hey, because, so even in college, playing football, it was sportsmen enough to me that I don't care whether I was at the park or in the neighborhood. Like, I always felt an anxiety, a level of nervousness before the game. And then football in college, I always felt nervous. Like at kickoff, you know what I used to trip out? We got a whole, in football, the pregame is like a whole hour. And that seems long, but you watch that clock winding down and you just, all of a sudden you're on the field and they're about to kick the ball off. I used to feel some level of nervous anxiety. And until the ball was actually in the air, and then at that moment it would all go away because I would know I'm prepared for this moment. When do you feel your nervousness up until when?
Once that gun goes off,
You out, Cheryl?
yeah, all the nervousness flies behind me.
Okay. Hey, too, I be tripping. Like, even when I run now, so now I'm older, so of course I ain't racing with people, but I still do interval training and jogging. So when I'm jogging, I ain't tripping, but when I start my interval training, I'll be like, don't fall. Don't fall.
We seen him on the track out there getting it in.
You know, actually,
Yeah.
hey, watch this. I'm going to tell y'all this story. Why? And so I'm telling you the story. I got crazy psychological issues, right? So I'm saying it while we're doing a podcast and filming, and I'm like, don't ever repeat it. Right? As if I ain't intended for people to hear, right? But I was on the track like maybe 3 months ago up at Crespi. I'm running around the track, and there's a tarp. My brother, the tarp catch my foot. I'm going to blame it on the tarp. I'm going to blame it on the tarp, even though the tarp was sitting there for the last 8 weeks, right? The tarp jumped up and grabbed my foot. My brother, I tripped. Hey, the way I hit the ground and rolled, no, you would have thought I was a superhero, right? And then I popped up, and the first thing I did was look around and see you.
Yeah.
Hey, but what was so crazy? It was people doing construction because they working on the field, on the pool, and they were the only ones out there. And I know a couple of them saw, but they had enough dignity for me that they just looked the other way. Hey, because if someone did that in front of me, I'd be dying. And then afterwards, I check on them, right? I check on them, but I'd be dying. Hey, what events do you run?
I mostly run the 400 and the 800.
Yeah. What do you like about those? Most of us, when we think of track, it's always like the 100 and 200. So the 400, 800, that's just too much running for a brother. Hey, after the first turn, I'm out. But what do you like about those events?
I just, because I'm good at it too.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, let me ask you a question. Were you good at it, and therefore you liked it? Or did you like it, work hard, and therefore become good at it? And the only reason I ask that because there's this statement about do what you love. Do what you have a passion for. And then I was reading a book recently where the gentleman was making an argument. I don't think that's accurate. He said, I think people work hard at something till they become good at it, and therefore they become passionate about it, you know? So did you just like running the 400 and 800? Or did you just work so hard it became good and that's what made you enjoy it?
I think I was good at it the first time I did it, and
Okay.
I continued and did it better.
Is the 400 the one time around the track?
Yes.
And 800 is two? And you can sprint the whole time?
Not sprint, but I can open up my stride.
Okay, it's a nice open stride. I mean, but your stride probably look like my sprint. Hey, it's not a sprint for him, but your stride probably look like my sprint, huh?
Probably.
Yeah, I see. You could keep it 100, huh? All right, that's deep. That's deep. Pops, I need some of them stories, though, man. I need some of them stories. I just need to, kind of really share with people, like your perspective. Another thing you were, hey, look, don't make me run down the list of everything you shared with me, right?
Yeah.
Because another thing that you shared that I thought was deep is about overworking our children. Matter of fact, I don't want to say no more. You tell them what that conversation was like.
I have a perspective of, 16 years, I have tons of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Stories good, stories bad. My value is seeing that athlete accomplish something or overcome something. Because the way that I like to say it is I'm teaching life through track and field.
Okay.
So we're talking about the benefits of hard work.
Right.
We're talking about your attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the benefit of our program is that, listen, if you miss Monday and you show up Wednesday, we're going to ask you where you were.
Right.
A lot of programs are a little more lenient in attendance. Okay, I have a dentist appointment, so I know you won't be there Wednesday.
Right.
But you'll have Johnny that is coming straight from soccer practice to track practice. And some kids can handle it. And we never know when they can't handle it until it's too late.
Oh, that's genius.
It's too late. They're injured. That's why you know they can't handle it. So I think that there's a balance. I think it's great for kids to participate in multiple sports. I think that the biggest problem with that, the multiple sport thing at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
the coaches never talk to each other.
That's why they don't communicate.
Yeah. So if I got a heavy practice on Monday, and that coach has a heavy practice on Monday,
Yeah.
there's no communication between me and that other coach.
Right.
So your son has to pretty much be
Yeah.
experimental, like
Yeah.
crash test done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important. Most of my multi-sport athletes, I make it a point to step out of practice for a second and talk, okay, what did you do? At that point, I'm going to talk to the athlete. Okay, how you feeling? Okay, good. Yeah, soccer was tough today. Okay, I tripped, I fell. I'm a little sore right here on my knee.
Yeah.
Okay, so my expectation of you that day is a lot.
Right.
It's a lot less. I may ask you to do core. Well, you didn't do core in soccer, so I can get a fresh core.
Right.
Instead of, I know one thing you did at soccer was run.
Right.
So maybe my practice will ask for something different of you. And being blessed to have as many volunteer coaches as I have at this point, I'll have a coach designated to look after it. Okay, listen, you're going to take this person, you're going to do core, you're going to do, we're stretching the hip flexors, we're doing agility work, we're doing plyometrics, we're doing a lot of advanced things that these kids will continue to do until they're in college.
Yeah.
But, once you injure an athlete, it's too late. And you have two sides of the spectrum. You have that athlete that's doing too many sports, and you have that athlete that you show up at the track and their parent already had them do 10 hard sprints. The thing about my specific system, I take the warm-up is just as serious as the workout, and it's just as serious as the cool-down. So if you have to leave early, guess what? I'm not leaving you after the warm-up and the workout, and you just leave.
Yeah.
No, we're going to cool you down early and stretch you out early,
Right.
and have you prepared for the muscles to gradually slow down versus going full speed and you just stop.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep. Hey, I think that's so deep too because that's something people more familiar with is okay, we're going to get you stretched, warmed up, stretched, and then we're going to play. But a lot of coaches in any sport don't really take the time to stretch you out after you're done. And people don't really understand the benefits of that. Hey, the other thing is this. I just wanted to share what I did with my son because I had to learn some things too. There's this. We'd be playing multiple sports. And, you know, both based on partly athletics, partly cultural background, partly sociocultural background, socioeconomic, my son would develop a certain understanding about the expectations of how we get through things, homeboy, with no excuses, no can just do it, don't offer it, right? So therefore, he had gotten to an extreme where no matter what he was going through physically, he wouldn't even tell you. You got me?
Yeah.
And so I had to begin paying attention to that because that's what he thought it meant when he didn't realize, not like no excuses is not the same as like my brother, you got to take care of yourself. So what would happen is this, and I understand exactly what you're saying because we just doing what we do. So he would commit to multiple things and I'd tell him you got to take care of your body, but in his mind, like, well, look, if the coach say do this, do this. So we might come from some level of workout that was taxing and then go to another game where he might get the phone call that went directly to him, not even to me. And he's like, oh, so-and-so asked me would I show up and play at this game. I was like, oh, you want to? He's like, yeah. I said, well, whatever, right? So then we go to a game, and the coach later on be telling me like, oh, yeah, he got to get conditioned, Joe. At this point, he needs to be conditioned. He out there being late. Like even one time, his coach, his freshman year in high school, said this. And, you know, I wanted to be honest with you, dang it, I always try to be appropriate, but I wanted to put hands on dude, but I didn't, you know, right? Of course I didn't, because that's not what I do. Yeah. Y'all heard me? That's not what I did, right? Right? But what happened was, he hurt himself in practice, right? Mind you, he sprained his ankle, he was on the ground. I don't get out the stands, homeboy, that ain't me. Because I need to know whether you're so hurt you need me right now, or can you walk this out on your own, because I'm not going to be with you at all times in society. So his coach went out there and helped carry him off. So my son, just a tight homeboy, I'm going to tape it up. And he tried to get back out there, but you can see where you're not really no good. You should sit down, homeboy, you hurt. But I got to let him discover some of these things, right? So then the next day, I can't remember his next day or 2 days later, he had a game. Now, mind you, his coach just carried him off. So in the game, the coach after the game said, like, man, he out there dogging it. He not giving me his best. Is that right? He not making a great effort. So I asked him, I was like, my brother, he couldn't even walk yesterday. And you had to carry him. Now, this is what the coach said to me, though, that I was like, dude, you don't have no background in athletics. Yeah. You don't. And that's what's bothering me, because almost anybody is saying they're a coach nowadays. The same way I be seeing videos of trainers. Hey, if people be coming up with these training methods, I'll be like, that's not training, over. That's not your imagination, right? But what happened was, the coach said, this is what he said that I thought was it. He said, I asked him, could he go? And then he was like, you know what, he told me he could. And I thought to myself, like, no, brother, I played. I'm surrounded by a world of athletes. That's how all of us train and respond. Yeah. Ain't none of us go bow out, homeboy. There's a certain point at which we'll die out there for you. So it's not that you pull him out, sit him down, and let him know that, like, hey, you really don't have it. The best you have right now with your bad will, it ain't good enough. I need you to sit down and heal before you tear the worst. But you projecting something onto mine that's really about what's in your head. Because your first presumption is that he's not giving it his all. My brother, you just saw he couldn't even walk, right? Or I've also seen when coaches I brought in from a different sport and they don't realize the work he just put in. Yeah. Especially basketball tournaments, you might have, especially your kid play for 2-3 teams, right? Oh, so they play a game, then another game, then y'all drive back and he'll go to practice after he just ran 2 games and played the whole game. And the coach like, man, you should be conditioned by now. Yeah. Bro, I just told you. So just because you weren't visually there as a coach, you still have to be able to have an understanding of like, okay, they just did explain to me that this is what this student athlete did.
And I just relate that to, it's very important to have an open line of communication with your child, and your son, daughter, and with your athlete. Approaching it from a coach's perspective. Right. Because what does this world teach our men to do. The culture of this world, of society, of the neighborhood, of athletics.